Welcome to the History Channel. We will talk today about the invasion of the Waikato and how New Zealand's heartland was invaded. This is the Waikato, the fertile heartland of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Today, it is a place of peace and productivity. But 160 years ago, it was the stage for a brutal and defining conflict, a calculated invasion by the British Empire that aimed to crush the Māori King Movement and seize the land we see here. So, this is the story of the invasion of the Waikato, the largest and most significant campaign of the New Zealand Wars, a conflict that shaped the nation's geography and its fraught relationship between Crown and iwi. To understand this war, we must first understand what the British Empire feared most: a unified, independent Maori power. Let us talk first about the seeds of the conflict, the Kīngitanga and the Great South Road. By the early 1860s, tension was simmering. The primary source: land. Pakeha, or European settlers, were arriving in droves, and the colonial government, led by Premier Alfred Domett and Governor George Grey, was desperate to acquire more fertile land for them. In response to the relentless land sales and the erosion of their authority, many Central North Island iwi, or tribes, formed the Kīngitanga, the Māori King Movement, in 1858. This was not a rejection of the Queen, but a bid for unity and self-governance to create a barrier against the sale of their ancestral lands. The British saw this as a direct challenge to the sovereignty of the Crown. Governor George Grey, a veteran of colonial wars, began preparing for invasion. His masterpiece of logistics and intimidation was the Great South Road. Built by British soldiers and conscripted Maori labor, it was a military highway designed for one purpose: to move troops and artillery to the border of the Waikato. The pretext for war came in July 1863. Governor Grey issued an ultimatum. All Maori living between Auckland and the Waikato were to swear allegiance to the Queen or be expelled. It was an impossible demand designed to provoke a reactive response. On July 12, 1863, the British Empire launched its invasion. Over 14,000 imperial and colonial troops, the largest force ever assembled in New Zealand, crossed the Mangatawiri Stream, the Aukati, or the boundary of the Kīngitanga. The Waikato tribes, perhaps numbering 2,000 to 3,000 warriors, were massively outnumbered and outgunned. But they had two major advantages: an intimate knowledge of the land and the modern defensive system of the PA. These were not simple forts. They were complex networks of trenches, bunkers, and rifle pits designed to negate the British advantage in numbers and artillery. Then came the siege of Rangiriri. The British advance was methodical, moving up the Waikato River by steamers and along the road. They encountered a series of brilliantly designed pie, like at Merimir and Patarangi, which were often bypassed or abandoned after fierce skirmishes. The key engagement came at Rangiriri in November 1863. The British attacked a formidable, centrally located pie, blocking their path to the Kīngitanga's agricultural base. The fighting was ferocious. British troops suffered heavy casualties, assaulting the central redoubt. After a day of brutal fighting, the defenders, running low on ammunition and seeing their position surrounded, raised a white flag. Confusion ensued. Whether it was a truce or a surrender is still debated. What is not debated is the outcome. The British took the pie and captured nearly 200 Maori, including chiefs. It was a devastating blow to the Kīngitanga's defense. Then came the fall of Ngaruawahia and the confiscations. With the defensive line broken, the British captured the Kīngitanga's capital at Ngaruawahia unopposed. They symbolically hoisted the Union Jack and played the British anthem on the Māori King's own piano. though fighting continued into 1864 at places like Orakau, the site of the famous Riwi's last stand, and the phrase ka wauhai tonu matu, ake, 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 meaning we will fight on forever. The invasion was effectively over. The British had achieved their military objectives. But the true goal was always land. In 1865, the New Zealand Settlements Act was used to confiscate, or raupatu, over 1.2 million acres of Waikato land from iwi who had been labeled as rebels. This land was then sold or granted to British settlers, cementing Pākehā dominance in the region and impoverishing the Kīngitanga tribes for generations. So, the invasion of the Waikato was a watershed moment. It was a war of aggression, driven by a colonial government's desire for land and its determination to break the Māori political autonomy. The legacy of the raupatu is still felt today. The economic, social, and cultural damage was profound. It was not until 1995, over 130 years later, that the Crown signed a Waikato Tainui Raupatu settlement, a formal apology and a partial redress for the lands that were taken. This history is not just a footnote. It is essential to understanding modern New Zealand. It is a story of resistance, loss, and the ongoing journey toward reconciliation. For further reading, check out nzhistory.net, Denton Zede, The Great War for New Zealand by Vincent O'Malley, and The Waikato War by David Green. What are your thoughts on this often overlooked chapter of history? Share them respectfully in the comments below. If you learned something today, please like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell for more dives into history. Thank you.